Hello. I just realized my TV is on in the background and that'll be distracting to me. So let me turn that off. Sorry about that. Fortunately, nobody's here at the moment, so I can maybe edit that out if I ever learn how to edit. And as was mentioned yesterday, my Christmas decorations are still up, so I need to deal with that too. Maybe I should do that today or tomorrow. Instead of read. Which one? Should I read or should I de-decorate? Undecorate. We are on chapter 55. So we don't, Fareed's not here to tell me how many's left. I always forget how many chapters we still have. 61, I think. It's Roman numerals. LXI, is that 61? 50 plus 10 and 1. So 61, and what did I say? We're on 55, so 6 more chapters. We'll see how bad my math is. So how are you guys? It's Saturday morning. Are you doing well? It's cold here. That's why I'm in my old school t-shirt and sweatshirt and not out on the porch because it's just too cold. I think we might get snow in Louisiana. Unbelievable. I feel like if you stayed with me long enough on this channel, you know all the Louisiana weather cycles because we really do get almost everything, but it's not very predictable. All right, let's read. A few days, I said yesterday, or in the comment about yesterday, I feel like they're really dragging out the end of the story. I just want to see what happens. But I mean, I know, but I'll refresh my memory. A few days after this visit, Mr. Bingley called again, and alone. His friend had left him that morning for London. Mr. Darcy had left. Hey, Sid, I wondered if you were going to join us. I'm glad you're here. Sorry, I got sidetracked with something. So Mr. Darcy has gone. He's not there. He went back to London. And Mr. Bingley has showed up to visit. He sat with them above an hour, like more than an hour, and was in remarkably good spirits. Mrs. Bennet invited him to dine with them, but with many expressions of concern, he confessed himself engaged elsewhere. Next time you call, she said, I hope we shall be more lucky. Like, I hope you'll join us for a meal the next time. He should be particularly happy at any time, etc., etc. And if she would give him leave, would take an early opportunity of waiting on them. If she would give him leave, if she would give him permission. It's a very polite way of speaking. Can you come tomorrow? Yes, he had no engagement at all for tomorrow, and her invitation was accepted with alacrity. Good word on SAT or ACT, alacrity, like quickly. He came, and in such very good time that the ladies were none of them dressed. Like, they're dressed, they're just not dressed for company. Like I would be, I don't want to go meet somebody in my baggy sweatshirt and leggings, you know? I'm not dressed. In ran Mrs. Bennet to her daughter's room in her dressing gown and with her hair half finished, crying out, my dear Jane, make haste and hurry down. He's come. Mr. Bingley is come. He is indeed. Make haste, make haste. Here, Sarah, come to Miss Bennet this moment and help her on with her gown. Never mind Miss Lizzie's hair. We will be down as soon as we can, said Jane, but I dare say Kitty is forwarder than either of us, for she went upstairs half an hour ago. Oh, hang Kitty. What has she got to do with it? Come, be quick, be quick. Where's your sash, my dear? The mother just gets in a frenzy because the gentleman caller is there. Hin Zaid, hello, Nugget. Nugget, you wrote, I have a comment from you, and I'm trying to remember, are you in Germany and made the comment about the paper clips? I just saw a Nugget comment. Help me remember. You're very welcome either way. Fareed, I wondered if you were going to make it. I just made a comment about you because I was counting how many chapters we have left. And I said, if Fareed were here, he would know how many chapters we have left. I think it's 6. What did I say? I see I've already forgotten the number. Hein Zaid, you're new to me. No, oh, good. Nugget, I commented back that my plan, I have a good family. There's a family of Germans that I've been their English teacher here. And they're going to return to Germany. So we're making plans for me to go visit them in probably July, maybe August. I don't know. Some names just stick out to me, Hein. And so maybe we could have a meet and greet, or link up. Or I don't know if you are German and you're just studying English, or you're American or English speaker living in Germany. But if everything's good for travel, again, if I can start traveling to Germany, that is the plan. The Tariq book, that is A Thousand Splendid Suns. And I had a really good comment on that yesterday. Someone who was Arabic speaking made a comment about one of the characters' names and the irony of the name, because the name meant to be dependable or trustworthy. And it was the character that betrayed the women at the bus. Yeah, Rashid and Tariq. Yep. Well, I'm glad you're back. You must have just seen me on live and popped in to say hi. I appreciate it. Anyway, so Nugget, if you stay in touch and I'm in Germany and we're anywhere near each other, I know we're supposed to go to, I'll fly into Frankfurt. We're supposed to go to Hamburg. I'll be in K-Town. And I'm going to be trying to go to where my ancestors are buried. I know where that is, but I can't tell you. It's Hesse. It's the state of Hesse. So I don't know if that's anywhere you are, but that's where I'll be. The book was so sad, but it was so good. It just has stayed with me, that book, Hein. Born in Germany and doomed to read the book. And I don't remember. Oh, that was A Lesson Before Dying, I think, was what you're reading. I like that book. I'm sorry that you don't like it. It makes me cry. That's even to tell the story, it makes me cry. I think good books should touch you emotionally somehow. They should either lift you up and encourage you, frustrate you, or, touch you so that you see the sadness of those characters. And that's one of the things I love about literature. I think it makes you understand human nature and human behavior better, and therefore understand yourself and prepare yourself for the world better. All right. Enough of that. So Miss Bennet is so excited because Mr. Bingley is here, and maybe it's going to be that, Jane and her and Mr. Bingley. Oh, she's so excited. Oh, that's exciting. The friend that lives in K-Town, it's a big dream of hers. She said she's never been to Hamburg. And so I said, well, let's go. So hopefully that's what we'll do. I think it's like me saying, I'm from America and I've never been to Dallas, It's not that far away, but I have been to Dallas. I've been to Houston and Dallas, but there's a lot of places in the US I haven't been to. I would say mainly Seattle, the Northwest is the main, and I haven't been to Pennsylvania or Boston, the East Coast, some of the big country, some of the big cities there I haven't been to, but most of the US I've been to. But when her mother was gone, Jane would not be prevailed on to go down without one of her sisters. The same anxiety to get them by themselves was visible again in the evening. After tea, Mr. Bennet retired to the library, as was his custom, and Mary went upstairs to her instrument. 2 obstacles of the 5 being thus removed, Mrs. Bennet sat looking and winking at Elizabeth and Catherine for a considerable time without making any impression on them. Miss Bennet's like, go, get out. Why do you think Miss Bennet wants to leave Mr. Bingley and Jane alone together? I'm going to give you time. You can answer. I have to go. I just came to say hi, and I'll go through this video later. Good. And hi, Canada. Canada is where a lot of my viewers are from, including Fareed. And Boston is close. I need to go to Boston. It's supposed to be my brother lived there. It should be a great city. Why does Miss Bennet want to get, that's my teacher voice. Do you hear it? You didn't answer. I'm going to put it out there again. Why does she want Jane and Mr. Bingley to be alone together? Think back. When was the last time that Elizabeth was alone with a man? What happened? I'm okay to sit and let it wait for somebody to answer. I'm telling you, I taught a lot of years. Yosfani, hello. So one more time, Miss Bennet is really eager. And this is the reason I'm harping on this is because it's okay to be late. I don't tell you, we don't have a set time. You never know when I'm going to go live. So I'm thrilled to have you here. I think Hein might have left for me. One of the reasons I'm pausing is because this prediction, this understanding, a lot of times students miss in reading comprehension. They miss what's happening. They're like, wait, how did that happen? Because they don't pick up on the cues and the clues that the author drops. So authors put things in that are not important to set a precedent for us or to give us a cultural understanding. And it's not a big deal now for, like, if you had your girlfriend over, it would not be a big deal for your parents to leave y'all alone and you be by yourself with that girlfriend. So culturally, it's very different than what was happening in this time. We know that men and women are not encouraged to be alone together. So what is the reason that Miss Bennet is so eager to get Jane and Mr. Bingley alone together? And why is Jane reluctant to want to be alone with Mr. Bingley? So I keep asking the question again and again, waiting for one of you to answer, to put the pieces together, because that's part of what is missing in reading comprehension. If you just read words and you don't predict things or don't connect things, you miss out on the meaning of it. So why does Miss Bennet want to get Jane and Mr. Bingley alone together? Somebody in the future can answer that in the comments below, but I'm going to give the answer now because I've given y'all plenty of time and I want to move on. She wants them to be alone together to give him the opportunity to ask Jane to marry him. Miss Bennet, that's her raison d'etre, her reason to be. She wants them married. The daughters need to be married. So if they're alone together, he's going to propose. And why doesn't Jane want to be alone? Is it because she doesn't want to marry Mr. Bingley? No, she's insecure and afraid he won't ask, or he would say, it would just be awkward and she'd be mortified because she's not sure. When he left her last time, she's not sure about his feelings for her, and she is sure about her feelings for him. All right, so that explains what's happening. So she's winking and I'm trying to find. Bingley was everything that was charming except the professed lover of her daughter. His ease and cheerfulness rendered him a most agreeable addition to their evening party, and he bore with the ill-judged officiousness of the mother and heard all her silly remarks with a forbearance and command of countenance particularly grateful to the daughter. He didn't let on that it was awkward. He scarcely needed an invitation to stay supper, and before he went away, an engagement was formed, chiefly through his own and Mrs. Bennet's means, for his coming next morning to shoot with her husband, to go hunting. After this day, Jane said no more of her indifference. Not a word passed between the sisters concerning Bingley, but Elizabeth went to bed in the happy belief that all must speedily be concluded unless Mr. Darcy returned within the stated time. Seriously, however, she felt tolerably persuaded that all this must have taken place with that gentleman's concurrence, support. Bingley was punctual to his appointment, and he and Mr. Bennet spent the morning together as he had been agreed on. The latter was much more agreeable than his companion expected. There was nothing of presumption or folly in Bingley that could provoke his ridicule or disgust him into silence, and he was more communicative and less eccentric than the other had ever seen him. Bingley, of course, returned with him to dinner, and in the evening, Mrs. Bennet's invitation was again at work to get everybody away from him and her daughter. Elizabeth, who had a letter to write, went into the breakfast room for that purpose soon after tea, for as the others were all going to sit down to cards, she could not be wanted to counteract her mother's schemes. But on returning to the drawing room, when her letter was finished, she saw, to her infinite surprise, there was reason to fear that her mother had been too ingenious for her. On opening the door, she perceived her sister and Bingley standing together over the hearth as if engaged in the earnest conversation, and had this led to no suspicion, the faces of both, as they hastily turned round and moved away from each other, would have told it all. Their situation was awkward enough, but hers, she thought, was still worse. Not a syllable was uttered by either, and Elizabeth was on the point of going away again when Bingley, who, as well as the other, had sat down, suddenly rose, and whispering a few words to her sister, ran out of the room. Hello, Victoria McNeil. I watched your And Then There Were None videos from has it been 2 years? Wow, time flies by. I hope they helped you in school, and I'm surprised. Have you not found any other books on the list that would help you again? Or did you finish school? Was that a senior year thing? I'm glad to have you here anyway. It's nice to hear from you. Victoria has always been a name I like. I had a student that was very important to me named Victoria. The Hobbit. What about The Hobbit? I love The Hobbit. You weren't one of my former students that I taught The Hobbit to, were you? Fareed, Crepes. I remember you do that a lot. I think that's so great. I need to come be at the family meal one brunch. I would love that. Tell your family hello. In seventh to eighth is The Hobbit, but I don't have The Hobbit on my book. I would love to have The Hobbit on my book. I'm trying to think why you just said The Hobbit. Oh, you said okay, I'm with you. Other books that you've read, but I don't think, sounds good, Fareed. I don't think I have The Hobbit on my playlist. It's one that I've meant to do, but I never was teaching it. I don't think. I would have to look that up later to see if The Hobbit's on my playlist. But one of my favorite books. Really love it. I love the whole series. I loved teaching that whole series. Oh, got you. I'm with you. So you just let me know that's what you're reading. It makes me really want to add it to, boy, my children so sweetly gave me that light ring, and I don't know that, I may just turn it off. I don't know that I need it during the day. Oh, it does make a difference. It looks a lot more gray in here. Okay. But it distracts me in my glasses. And if I were y'all, and if you happen to look, I would assume you just listen, that the light would be annoying. Well, enjoy The Hobbit. And Victoria, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, I'm Best Tutor Friend there. If you have any questions about Hobbit, or if you need me to read over something, a writing prompt or something that you respond, I'd be happy to work with you on it. I love that book. Don't love the movies. Love the book. All right. So there they are together. Who, as well on the other, had sat down, suddenly rose, and whispering a few words to her sister, ran out of the room. Jane could have no reserves from Elizabeth where confidence would give pleasure, and instantly embracing her, acknowledged with the liveliest emotion that she was the happiest creature in the world. Oh, what has happened? 'Tis too much, she added, by far too much. I do not deserve it. Oh, why is it not everybody as happy? Isn't she a sweet character? She's happy. She wants the whole world to be as happy as she is. Elizabeth's congratulations were given with a sincerity, a warmth, a delight, which words could but poorly express. Every sentence of kindness was a fresh source of happiness to Jane, but she would not allow herself to stay with her sister or say half that remained to be said for the present. I must go instantly to my mother, she cried. I would not on any account trifle with her affectionate solicitude or allow her to hear it from anyone but myself. He has gone to my father already, so he asked her dad, I guess that morning when they were hunting. Oh, Lizzie, to know that what I have to relate will give such pleasure to all my dear family. How shall I bear such happiness? She then hastened away to her mother, who had purposefully broken up the card party and was sitting upstairs with Kitty. Elizabeth, who was left by herself, now smiled at the rapidity and ease with which an affair was finally settled. That had given them so many previous months of suspense and vexation. They can all breathe a big sigh of relief because now they're engaged. That newsman animated. That's a fun name. Hello. Hello to you too. I lost my place. And this, she said, is the end of all my friend's anxious circumspection, all of his sister's falsehood and contrivance, the happiest, wisest, most reasonable end. Venus, it's always good when I see you pop in. I'm glad to know you're good or you're well. Where is your sister? In a few minutes, she was joined by Bingley, whose conference with her father had been short and to the purpose. Where is your sister? Said he hastily as he opened the door. With my mother upstairs. She will be down in a moment, I dare say. He then shut the door and coming up to her, claimed the good wishes and affection of a sister. Elizabeth honestly and heartily expressed her delight in the prospect of their relationship as brother and sister. She's so happy about it. They shook hands with great cordiality, and then, till her sister came down, she had to listen to all he had to say of his own happiness and of Jane's perfections. And in spite of his being a lover, Elizabeth really believed all his expectations of felicity, happiness, to be rationally founded, because they had for basis the excellent understanding and super excellent disposition of Jane, and a general similarity of feeling and taste between her and himself. Venus, I know you do work and go to school, and I know it's got to be a challenge, but I will tell you, I I had a good upbringing, and financially good, I mean, but my father thought it was very important that young people worked to pay their, I mean, all my needs were met, but to go to the movie or to buy makeup or the things I would want as a teenage girl. And I've worked hard since 13. And I just think it makes you more prepared for life. I think it makes you a stronger person. There are days it's really tiring and it's really hard. And I'm sure as a teenager, you see your friends getting to do things while you're at work that you're like, I just want to be a teenager. So I know that's really tough, but I admire you and I respect you. And I think in the long run, you'll find you're a better person for the amount of work you're carrying at this point in life. Victoria, also, I don't know if you can, but it's a book, Stung. Good. I don't know that book, Stung, if that's the title of it. I can look it up, but I don't know. I would just look at Goodreads or something like that to see. Vampires to go. I never know how to say these names. I'm not reading this book yet, but my name is Lola. I gotta sing the song, Lola. Her name was Lola. And just wanted to tell you how much I love and appreciate your videos. Oh, thank you so much. Tell me what books you read. I always like to know what books are getting read. Yeah, Stung. I don't know that I've heard of it. I don't teach anymore, so I'm not keeping up with the new books. And most of the books on my list are kind of those classics that have been around forever. And Stung sounds like maybe a newer book, but Goodreads really does do a good job of, you can read other people's reviews of the book that have actually just read it. Laura Lee, I just wanted to pop in and say thank you for posting these read-alongs. I've watched your read-along to And Then There Were None and To Kill a Mockingbird. Yay! I'm always surprised by when people come on and tell me what they've read, because like those are not some of my bigger followed books, especially To Kill a Mockingbird. So I don't know if the algorithm's not right, the data's not right, because I have a lot of people that come on and tell me they've read those books, but when I look to see it, it's like not even in the top 10 of what's been read. Murder on the Orient Express, that's another one. And my username's Vampire Stego. Oh, like Stegosaur. Thank you. That helps me. Vampire Stego. That's fun. That's a cute idea. Yasvani, thank you. You never tell me what books you've read, though. You've been coming on lately, and I don't know what books you've read. My favorites are A Thousand Splendid Suns, on my reading list, are A Thousand Splendid Suns, A Lesson Before Dying, I don't know. I love A Gathering of Old Men. It was my very first video, but it's just not been a book that's ever, I don't know that it's well taught very often. The Hobbit I loved as a personal book. I'm reading War and Peace right now and really like it. Um, I want to read on him. Like one of my favorite books for myself is A Tale of Two Cities, and I want to read that here. I have not read The Dogs of Winter by Bobby Pyron. Thank you, Nathan. I love new ideas. I just am overwhelmed by how many books there are and not enough time to read them all, and I've been reading all my life. So, and there's always, it's like when you go on vacation and you've had this fabulous vacation and you've seen all the sights and you come home and they're like, oh, well, did you see you've seen the Colosseum and you've seen the Forum in Rome, and they're like, oh, did you see the Palazzo del Vive? I just made that up. I don't know if there is such a thing. And you're like, dang, no, I didn't. I didn't know I missed something. That's how I feel when you guys are like, have you read this book? And I haven't read it. Oh, I need to get to it. Alibi Junior High. Thank you, Victoria. I like things about middle school because I think middle school is the hardest time of your life. Honestly, parents forget how hard middle school is, and there is no other time in your life that it will matter as much. All the social drama and stuff that goes on in school, it will never be as hard as it is in junior high. Venus, have a great day at work. I miss chatting with you. I wish you would come join Discord so you can chat with us over there. But have a great day at work, and I'm really proud of you. You're doing a great job. Liv, thank you. That's so nice. I don't think I'm amazing. In fact, I'm mad at myself for chatting so much right now because somebody's sitting out there going, just freaking read the book. I want to hear what happens in the chapter. And it might be my dad. Hey, Daddy. The Cabin. Oh, that's not what I thought it was. A mystery thriller. Wasn't there a book, The Cabin, that was a religious book? And, I don't know. I may have that one confused. Victoria, it's about a kid whose dad is a CIA agent. Wow. And he has to go to school and he goes through life. Interesting. Lived, really? What state? That's fun. Give a shout out to everybody. Say, best tutor friend said hello and keep reading. Okay, can see me trying Aishwara Kapila. I'm sorry if I murdered your name. Thank you. I'm glad that you like them. I'm glad they're helpful. Susan Prasida, A Gentleman in Moscow. I had a fellow English teacher, my great friend. She loved that book. And I never got around to reading it. Yosvani, I have not read. Y'all are showing all the books I have not read. I have not read The One and Only Ivan. That's why you guys need to come over to Discord. We put book lists up all the time, and we talk about, we're not that chatty lately, but there is conversation that's going on. And so then we could talk about you could summarize and tell me more about these books. Drax Neil Nastu. I'm not sure, but I really think you should read it. Oh, The Cabin. Okay. I've lost track. Illinois. I have my brother was in Illinois forever. I grew up in Michigan and we had friends in Illinois. So I have good feelings about Illinois. I wish I had taught Illinois. They pay their teachers much, much better in Illinois than they pay them here in Louisiana. Victoria, Florida, my neighbor. Hello, neighbor. Literally, we all subscribe. Oh, that's so sweet. You probably say some witchy things too, because there's plenty of crazy things to say about me. Well, tell them, let's do ask your teacher if we can do like a live read one day. That would be really fun. I would love to have a teach along with you guys, except I would want to see, maybe we could do it in like a Zoom class or something like that. I would love that. And I'm assuming you guys are not meeting face-to-face at this point right now. Are you thinking about The Shack? Susan, thank you. The Cabin, The Shack, thank you. That is it. Chris, hi, good to see you again. Irene, outside of Chicago. Hi, Irene, it's good to see you again too. Yeah, my brother was in West Chicago and Wheaton, and my niece and nephews went to Wheaton. Only one nephew. I don't have multiple nephews. But now he retired to Michigan. So he's on the Lake Michigan up there. New Jersey, Chris, I've been there once, but I really want to go back to New Jersey sometime. Draxnell, you also helped me so much my freshman year when I had to read The Crucible. I understood that's one of my biggest read books, which shocked me. I almost didn't even record it because I thought it's a play. They can look at it anywhere. I understand everything because of you. Oh, what a nice thing, and 100 on your test. I think I remember that. See, I'm serious, Liv. I have a Best Tutor Friend Instagram. Have your teacher reach out to me there, and I will happily, I'd have to coordinate it with my work schedule because I now work for the Department of Education. But I work from home Wednesday through Friday, so I could probably schedule it and do a quick, check-in or book discussion or something like that on the book. Liv, I don't know. I don't know if it was North. I thought it was all just Wheaton. So I don't know where exactly they were. Victoria, go read The Hobbit and stay caught up. And there are probably some really great, in fact, I know there are some great audiobooks out there for The Hobbit. So enjoy. I'm so glad you stopped in and chatted. But they went to Wheaton. It was a private school, Wheaton Academy, I think it was. And I worked with Wheaton Academy with my international. They had a big international student program there, and I was the international student coordinator at my school. So I had a lot to do with Wheaton Academy for that. Beautiful area. I really dreamed of moving up there because I like the cold. I'm sure it's very cold right now, but I do. Oh my gosh, guys, I have just chatted way too long. I didn't expect to get so, that's where you live. Okay, I have to go finish 1,000 Splendid Suns. It's Best Tutor Friend, just like that. That's a small world, Liv, isn't it? That's great. It is a very legitimate, no money. I don't need anybody to pay me. I just miss teaching and being with kids in the classroom. So if you guys are doing, Liv, are y'all live? Like, are you face-to-face in school now? Or are you still doing, virtual school? Because she might appreciate the help. Muniba, hi, how are you? Are you getting better? You can see I'm feeling a lot better. I think you could tell 2 weeks ago I really didn't feel well with COVID when I did try and get back on. Go back to hybrid on Monday. So, it might be a lesson plan that helps her. I could try and dig and get if I know what chapter you are all on and that sort of thing. Sid, thank you. Put the link. If you talk to the teacher and, she coordinates with me where y'all are, maybe I can pull out some of my old lessons and some of my old questions, and do just a live discussion on it. Talk about some of the symbolism, the ironies, the different twists and turns that go with the story. She may think that I'm a crazy person. She doesn't trust me, and I understand and respect that, the sanctity of her classroom and protecting you all. But, it is a very sincere offer from a teacher's heart. I would love to do it. Muniba, you say I sound a lot better. I'm telling you, I had a mild case and it knocked me out. I still go to bed really early. I still get a daily headache. But I still have a lot of sinus stuff, but it's so much better. And I think it was a solid 3 weeks, maybe. How about y'all? Are you and your husband better? I hope so. And I stay hydrated. I drink a lot of water. All right. Sorry for this chat. Somebody later in the future will come in and say she starts reading again at 34:06. So sorry about that. And they're engaged and we're all excited. It was an evening of no common delight to them all. The satisfaction of Miss Bennet's mind gave a glow of such sweet animation to her face as made her look handsomer than ever. Kitty simpered and smiled and hoped her turn was coming soon. She's so romantic. If my sister got married, I'm going to get married too. She's hopeful. Sid, thank you for posting the Discord link. Guys, sign up, take advantage of it and come chat with us over there. I'm very faithful about checking into that every day. Siddharth, isn't that true? I send an almost daily message. Muniba, I'm so glad to hear that, but take care of yourself. In my case, it took a while to get my smell and my taste and my energy back. So, and Siddharth is testifying. I engage daily. I really look forward to it. I love still having that contact with teenagers and students and talking about literary things. We have writing prompts and well-being prompts and talk about movies we've seen and books we're reading. And we challenge each other. This was Sid's idea too. All of Discord was Sid's idea. He does these things called reading sprints. We have a channel that's a reading sprint. So if you're about to read, you just say, hey, I'm about to read for 30 minutes or whatever. Do you want to read too? And we're not reading the same book necessarily, but it just like kind of holds us accountable to say, I need to read today. And I know somebody else is there reading. There's test prep. Yeah, I was just talking about the reading sprints, test prep. I do try and help a little bit. People share a lot of good ideas. We have a lot of internationals where you can have cultural exchange type conversations. If you're an English second language person, there's a audio channel where we practice English conversation, and I'm happy to get on for free. Again, I don't do any of this for monetizing. So when you do ask for favors, just be aware, if I can't meet the timeline you're asking me for, it's because I'm not making money doing any of this. It's just my hobby. So I know people get frustrated with me that I won't read more books or more efficiently, but it's my hobby. So you guys are just, it's like you're knitting along with me. All right. Mrs. Bennet could not give her consent or speak her approbation in terms warm enough to satisfy her feelings, though she talked to Bingley of nothing else for half an hour. And when Mr. Bennet joined them at supper, his voice and manner plainly showed how really happy he was. Not a word, however, passed his lips in allusion to it till their visitor took his leave for the night. But as soon as he was gone, he turned to his daughter and said, Jane, I congratulate you. You will be a very happy woman. Jane went to him instantly, kissed him, and thanked him for his goodness. You are a good girl, he replied, and I have great pleasure in thinking you will be so happily settled. I have not a doubt of your doing very well together. Your tempers are by no means unalike. You are each of you so complying that nothing will ever be resolved on, so easy that every servant will cheat on you, and so generous that you will always exceed your income. I hope not so. Imprudence or thoughtlessness in money matters would be unpardonable in me. Exceed their income, my dear Mr. Bennet, cried his wife. What are you talking of? Why, he has 4,000 or 5,000 a year, and very likely more. Then addressing her daughter, oh, my dear, dear Jane, I'm so happy. I'm sure I shan't get a wink of sleep all night. I knew how it would be. I always said it must be so at last. Did she always say it was going to end up like this? Did she always believe in it? Sid said they were reading Turtles All the Way Down. I have wanted to read that book. Sid, let me know what you think of it. Great Gatsby's on my list. And last choice, you can choose. What are you going to choose, Sid? We'll talk about that in Discord. I'm really curious to know what you'll choose. I remember as soon as I ever saw him, when he first came into Hertfordshire last year, I thought how likely it was that you should come together. Oh, he is the handsomest young man that ever was seen. Wickham, Lydia were all forgotten. Jane was beyond competition, her favorite child. At that moment, she cared for no other. Her younger sisters soon began to make interest with her for objects of happiness which she might in future be able to dispense. Mary petitioned for the use of the library at Netherfield, and Kitty begged very hard for a few balls there every winter. They're all seeing her happiness through their own eyes, right? Bingley, from this time, was of course a daily visitor at Longbourn, coming frequently before breakfast and always remaining till after supper, unless when some barbarous neighbor who could not be enough detested had given him an invitation to dinner which he thought himself obliged to accept. Elizabeth had now but little time for conversation with her sister, for while he was present, Jane had no attention to bestow on anyone else, but she found herself considerably useful to both of them in those hours of separation that must sometimes occur. In the absence of Jane, he always attached himself to Elizabeth for the pleasure of talking to her, and when Bingley was gone, Jane constantly sought the same means of relief. So the young couple is just eyes only for each other when they're together, and then they turn to Elizabeth to talk about the other one because she knows both of them. So Elizabeth is caught up in this romance and this falling in love. "He has made me so happy," said she one evening, "by telling me that he was totally ignorant of my being in town last spring. I had not believed it possible." "I suspected as much," replied Elizabeth, "but how did he account for it?" It must have been his sister's doing. They were certainly no friends to his acquaintances with me, which I cannot wonder at, since he might have chosen so much more advantageously in many respects. But when they see, as I trust they will, that their brother is happy with me, they will learn to be contented, and we shall be on good terms again, though we can never be what we once were to each other. She's talking about the sister of Bingley, and he has two sisters, and they kind of, you know, plotted against the connection because Miss Bingley, the single sister, was aspiring to connect him to Darcy's little sister so that she could marry Darcy. So she had her own aspirations of what she wanted to have happen in the family. And so Jane, still innocent as always, is saying, "I'm sure they'll accept me once they see that I really love their brother." Do you think those kind of women will? I think that she'll be the rest of her life, part of their manipulations and unkindnesses. I don't think those kind of women change unless some really, uh, Charles Dickens Christmas Carol experience where ghosts visit and they have this epiphany and understanding of what's important in life. But I don't think those characters will change. If you disagree, put something in the comments below. "That is the most unforgiving speech," said Elizabeth, "that I have ever heard you utter. Good girl! It would vex me indeed to see you again the dupe of Miss Bingley's pretended regard." "Would you believe it, Lizzie, that when he went to town last November, he really loved me, and nothing but a persuasion of my being indifferent would have prevented his coming down again. He made a little mistake, to be sure, but it is to be the credit of his modesty." This naturally introduced a panegyric from Jane on his diffidence and the little value he put on his own good qualities. I don't have my phone in front of me. Panegyric. Let's see. Who can find it faster than me? Panegyric. See, this is how you improve your preparation for a formal public speech or written verse delivered in high praise of a person or thing, a generally high-studied and undiscriminating eulogy not expected to be critical. The original panegyrics were speeches delivered at public events in ancient Athens. So there we go. If you see that word on ACT, you'll remember it's a fancy speech, like what you would say at a funeral, in honor of a person. So let's look at the context of this. Naturally induced that Jane gave this long speech on all his good qualities and the little value he put on his own good qualities. Elizabeth was pleased to find that he had not betrayed the interference of his friend, for though Jane had the most generous and forgiving heart in the world, she knew it was a circumstance which would prejudice her against him. "I'm certainly the most fortunate creature that ever existed," cried Jane. "Oh, Lizzie, why am I thus singled from my family and blessed above them all?" Jane is just like too good, right? She's too good of a character. Hi, Elle. "I am certainly the most fortunate creature that ever existed," cried Jane. Thank you. What a lovely thing to say. I appreciate it. If I could, Lizzie, why am I thus singled from? No, I already read that. "If you were to give me 40 such men, I never could be so happy as you. Till I have your disposition, your goodness, I never can have your happiness. No, let me shift for myself, and perhaps, if I have very good luck, I may meet another Mr. Collins in time." So, sarcasm, yeah? She doesn't really want a Mr. Collins. She wants a Mr. Darcy. The situation of affairs in the Longbourn family could not be long a secret. Mrs. Bennet was privileged to whisper it to Mrs. Phillips, and she ventured without any permission to do the same by all her neighbors in Meryton. The news is spread. The gossip is out. The Bennets were speedily pronounced to be the luckiest family in the world, though only a few weeks before, when Lydia had first run away, they had been generally proved to be marked out for misfortune. And that is the end of that chapter. Again, for those of you who are trying to get through this book, I apologize for the interruption of the chat, but that's me. That's what I do with my channel. If you want to have a different channel, go start reading. We need books read on there. We need people reading the non-copyrighted books so that all these books are out there to be heard and experienced. So reading comprehension builds, and so our readers rule the world, because I believe readers do rule the world. And for us to be intelligent, critical thinkers, we need to take time digging in books and figuring out how to understand the points that authors are trying to make. And Austen, as I've read it now as a mature adult woman, and the first time I read it as a teenager, I see her ironies, I see her social commentary. My best friend and I were talking about what is the value of marriage. And that's been on my mind the whole time I'm reading this book. Does our society need marriage anymore? Is it almost impossible to have a marriage like what my parents have had of 60 years? Are those days gone because society's not built around marriages? And that's kind of what Austen was just talking about. Just before that, the whole community was saying what unluck they have because Lydia ran off with her elopement and the scandal and all that. The family name is ruined. And that's how families were. You were directly connected to your blood kin. And if your family was disgraced, if some member of the family was disgraced, the whole tribe was disgraced. That's not really the case in our culture anymore. But does that also mean then that it's very hard for a married couple to get through a lifetime together? Because marriage is really hard. And we want different things. Women are not as dependent on men now as they were back in the day. My mother, just the difference of my mother's generation, my generation, and my daughter's generation. We are financially able to take care of ourselves now. Culturally, as a single woman, I can go out and do, I went out with friends last night. I mean, you don't have that dependency on being the wife of a husband. So it's really curious to me that this book has really stood the test of time, because the things that Austen is examining, the status of marriage and society, are still relevant today. And I'm very curious about younger women as you read this book. Do you see it as romantic? Do you still have this idealistic dream of finding the perfect guy? Or are you more practical and you say, if I'm with him 5 or 6 years, that's enough for me. It was a healthy relationship. I'm really curious to see what your generation, I won't be around to see it, but what your generation is going to do about the institution of marriage. And Maniba, I think I know you are married, but I know culturally and if I'm not mistaken, you're in India, correct me if I'm wrong. I've talked to young women from India, and arranged marriages are still very prevalent and they're successful. And I have a very non-traditionally Western view of arranged marriages that I can see where they would be very successful, because you're bringing families together and everybody's entering the marriage with an expectation of what that joining of families means. And so you've got a deeper commitment maybe to the institute. It's less about your individual happiness and more about your Pakistan. I apologize. I'm sorry about that. So I don't mean to speak about that, but I was having a long conversation with a woman from India about arranged marriages. And so I'm not anti-arranged marriages. I can see the benefit of them because it gives you a respect for the institution of marriage. And I think that's very much what Pride and Prejudice is examining, the institution and the societal construct of marriage. Doesn't mean you can't fall in love with your partner and have a loving, wonderful life together. I just think when you've got all the family behind you, you get maybe more support for those times where marriage is hard or frustrating. So interesting to hear. And those are the kinds of things we can talk about at length in Discord, the cultural impact on marriage, relationships, expectations of women. Or do we have the freedoms to get educated? Do we get to do anything with our education? Can we live independently as women? Should we? Have we undermined society because women wanted more autonomy? That's a valid conversation. So many young women, my daughters and different ones, sometimes just get into man bashing so badly. And I don't hate men. I just want to be independent. I like to be able to make my own choices in life and spend my own money in life, earn my own money in life, travel where I want to travel independently, go with my best friend or go with my children or go for work, whatever it might be. I like the ability to be a strong, independent thinking female, but I don't hate men and I don't think they're less than me, because that's my problem with the society the way it is now, that we're always second in, we're considered not as capable, not as competent. And in my experience, I think we're dang strong. We can really endure, where some situations just destroy men. All right, well, that's my rant for the day. Those of you that stuck around long enough to see it all, thanks. And I would love for you to comment below or join us at Discord at that link and come over and chat with us about that. What are your thoughts? And we'll make a whole channel about women's role in society by culture or by generation. So I'm curious to see. Guys, we are within 50 of getting to 11,000 subscribers. So if you've been following along and you haven't subscribed up until now, I would love you to do it now. Those rollover numbers are when I push for it. Yasvani, bye. I'm so glad you were here. Oh, Maniba, you're in the UK. I had forgotten that. So talk about a big cultural change for them. Irene, always good to see you when you pop in. So if you haven't subscribed, you click on that little face of me in the bottom corner as you're looking at the screen and subscribe. Ring the bell so that you know when I'm going live, because I don't know when I'm going live. So if you want to know, you've got to get the notification from the bell. If you want to chat more, if this is your thing and you want to chat more, subscribe to Discord. It's free. You just have to add the app to your phone. And we schedule different things to do together. It's just an extension of what we do here. As long as I'm financially able to continue to pour my time into this, it is a free service and I enjoy it. It's my hobby. I love getting to know you guys, hearing about your cultures, hearing about your experiences, hearing your book recommendations. Enjoy your Saturday, and I will read to you next time. See ya.